My beloved friends, let us remember this truth. Failure is not your enemy. It is your first teacher, your stern but loving guide, the one who places in your hand the rough stone that will one day shine as a diamond. Too often, we run from failure as though it is a curse. But failure is not here to bury you, it is here to shape you, to prepare you, and to teach you what success cannot. When you stumble, when your plans fall apart, when the applause is replaced with silence, know this: you are not lost. You are only being refined. A child does not walk without first falling. A singer does not master the song without first striking the wrong note. A dreamer does not reach the stars without first navigating the night. Every failure is evidence that you had the courage to step forward, to risk your comfort for the sake of your calling. Understand this: success without failure is a shallow victory. It is like a tree without roots, standing tall for a season, but easily swept away by the storm. But success born from failure is rooted deep. It is tested, it is strong, and it can withstand the winds of doubt and fear. When you have failed and risen again, you carry in your heart a strength that no praise can give and no critic can take away. Do not despise your mistakes. Each one is proof that you lived, that you stretched beyond the ordinary. To never fail is to never try, and to never try is to never discover the greatness placed within you. Every mistake is a page in the book of your journey, and when you turn that page, you find yourself wiser, braver, and closer to the dream that waits for you. There will be nights when you question your worth, when you wonder if the mountain is too steep or the dream too distant. In those moments, remember this: failure is not the opposite of success. It is the first chapter of it. The giants of history, the voices of courage, the leaders of change, they all wore the scars of failure before they wore the crown of triumph. They were rejected, they were doubted, they were told no 1,000 times before the world finally said yes. So when you fail, rise with your head unbowed. Rise with the understanding that the fall was not wasted. Carry the lessons, carry the strength, and carry the vision. The path to greatness is not smooth. It is carved with struggle, tears, and relentless effort. Yet every stumble is a sign that you are still on the road, still moving, still growing. My friends, do not fear failure, fear standing still. Fear never daring, never reaching, never risking the possibility of falling. For the only true failure is to abandon your dream. Everything else, every misstep, every rejection, every broken plan, is nothing more than the first part of your success. Walk boldly, dream fearlessly, and when failure greets you, do not run, embrace it, for it has come not to destroy you, but to prepare you for the victory already waiting in your future. Failure is not the end, but the beginning of wisdom. To fail is to step into a classroom that no book can describe, no lecture can fully capture, no advice can truly substitute. It is life itself, shaping you through experience, humbling you when your pride runs too high, steadying you when your steps are unbalanced, and teaching you lessons that success alone can never teach. Failure is not a grave to be buried in. It is soil in which the seeds of wisdom take root. When we stumble, when plans collapse and our strength feels too small, it is easy to believe that we have reached the end. We mistake the silence after disappointment as a final verdict. But if we listen carefully, failure speaks not with condemnation, but with instruction. It whispers, look again, try again, rise again. Failure is not here to close doors permanently, but to teach us how to open them differently, more wisely, more courageously. Think of the child learning to walk. With each fall, the child does not conclude that walking is impossible. Instead, through every failed attempt, balance is discovered, strength is gained, and perseverance is born. That is wisdom. The child knows not to give up, even before the mind can reason it. And yet, as adults, we forget what we once knew. We fall and call ourselves unworthy. We stumble and assume the journey is over. But wisdom begins at the place where we decide that failure does not mean finality. It means preparation. The world often praises success, but rarely acknowledges the countless failures that paved the way. Behind every invention, behind every work of art, behind every movement that changed the world, there is a long trail of setbacks, rejections, and disappointments. Each misstep became a teacher, sharpening skill, deepening understanding, and building resilience. Failure strips away illusions, exposes weaknesses, and forces us to confront truth. In that confrontation, wisdom is born. Success can intoxicate. It can blind us into believing we are untouchable, that everything we do will prosper. Failure sobers us. It reminds us of our humanity, our limits, our need to grow. Without failure, we might remain arrogant, shallow, or fragile. But with failure, we are given the chance to strengthen what was weak, to correct what was flawed, and to refine what was rough. Wisdom does not come to the untested soul. It comes to the one who has fallen, reflected, and chosen to rise with a clearer vision. Every person will meet failure, but not everyone will meet wisdom. The difference lies in how we respond. To those who run from it, who bury themselves in shame, failure becomes heavy chains. But to those who lean into its lessons, failure becomes a lantern lighting the path forward. Wisdom is not handed down easily. It is forged in the fire of setbacks, disappointments, and trials. The wise are not those who never fell, but those who fell and rose with understanding. There is a beauty in failure that only time reveals. In the moment, it feels like loss, like rejection, like defeat. But as the years pass and perspective widens, we come to see those moments as turning points. They redirected us, reshaped us, and reminded us that strength is not proven in ease, but in endurance. The wisdom gained through failure often becomes the very foundation on which lasting success is built. Think of the musician who strikes the wrong note. In that failure, the ear becomes sharper. Think of the writer whose first drafts are torn apart by criticism. In that failure, the voice grows stronger, clearer, more authentic. Think of the dreamer whose ideas are dismissed, whose work is doubted. In that failure, determination is forged. Every fall teaches a truth that comfort cannot provide. The scars of failure carry wisdom that smooth paths cannot give. When you fail, you are standing at a threshold. You can choose despair, or you can choose discovery. Despair convinces you that the story is over, but discovery invites you to turn the page. The beginning of wisdom is not found in victory, but in reflection, asking why you fell, what you must change, how you must grow. The person who asks those questions will not remain defeated, because wisdom will guide their next steps with greater clarity. Wisdom teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches the importance of persistence. It tells us that nothing truly valuable comes without a cost, and that cost often includes missteps and setbacks. Wisdom born of failure makes us kinder to others, for when we have felt the sting of defeat, we can offer compassion to those who are still stumbling. We no longer judge quickly, for we know the weight of the fall and the courage it takes to rise again. So let failure not be your enemy. Do not curse it, do not run from it, and do not let it define you. Instead, allow it to guide you toward deeper understanding, toward growth, toward maturity of spirit. If you can embrace failure, you will carry a wisdom that cannot be shaken, a strength that cannot be stolen, and a vision that cannot be clouded by momentary loss. Failure is not the end, but the beginning of wisdom. It is the fire that refines, the storm that strengthens, the silence that teaches. It is not your ruin, but your rising. And when you look back years from now, you will see that what felt like breaking was in truth building. What felt like ending was in truth beginning. Every setback plants the seed of resilience. Each time life pushes us to the ground, we are given a choice: remain where we have fallen or rise again with a stronger spirit. Setbacks are not punishments. They are opportunities disguised in hardship. They test the limits of our patience, the depth of our courage, and the strength of our hope. They arrive uninvited, often at the very moment we feel closest to our goals. And yet, hidden within them lies the potential to transform us into people of greater endurance, wisdom, and faith. Resilience does not grow in moments of comfort. It is not nurtured when everything goes as planned. It is born in the difficult seasons, when doors close, when people doubt us, when our plans collapse, and when the path ahead feels uncertain. Resilience is the quiet voice that whispers, "Keep going," when the noise of failure shouts, "Give up." It is the determination that grows stronger, not because life was easy, but because it was hard. Think of the tree standing in the storm. The winds beat against it, the rain drenches it, and at times its branches break. Yet the roots dig deeper, anchoring it firmly in the ground. That is resilience. Every storm that threatens the tree only teaches it how to survive the next one. In the same way, our setbacks are not meant to destroy us. They are meant to drive our roots deeper, to ground us in strength we did not know we had, to prepare us for greater challenges ahead. There is something powerful about rising after a setback. The first time you stumble, it feels unbearable, as though the world has ended. But when you gather yourself and rise, you realize you are capable of more than you imagined. That discovery becomes a seed of resilience planted in the soil of your soul. And with each new setback, that seed grows. You become less afraid of falling because you now know you can rise. You become less shaken by rejection because you have learned that rejection is not the end, but the redirection. Setbacks shape our character in ways that ease never could. They teach us to wait, to fight, to hope, and to endure. They teach us humility when pride blinds us, patience when haste drives us, and strength when weakness tempts us. Resilience is not simply about survival. It is about transformation. Each time we rise from a setback, we are no longer the same person who first fell. We rise with greater depth, with a sharper vision, and with a heart that understands struggle in ways it could not before. Consider the runner who stumbles during training. At first, the pain feels like failure, but with time, the body heals, the muscles grow stronger, and the mind learns endurance. The setback becomes preparation for the race ahead. Or think of the artist who faces rejection after rejection. Each closed door forces the artist to refine their craft, to dig deeper into their creativity, until the work that emerges carries both skill and soul. What once felt like a setback was, in truth, the seed of resilience that produced something far greater than the original attempt. It is tempting to believe that life should be smooth, that dreams should unfold without resistance. But if everything came without struggle, we would never discover our strength. We would never learn to fight for what we love, never develop the endurance needed to protect it, never cultivate the patience required to sustain it. Resilience ensures that when success finally comes, we are ready for it, not fragile, not untested, but solid, steady, and strong. There will be moments when setbacks feel unbearable. The weight of disappointment will press heavily on your shoulders, and the path forward will seem hidden. In those moments, remember that resilience does not always roar. Sometimes it is the quiet step forward, the small decision not to give up today. It is the courage to take one more step, even when you cannot see the finish line. Those small steps matter, for they water the seed of resilience and allow it to grow. And as it grows, you will find yourself becoming unshakable. You will face challenges that once would have broken you, and you will stand tall. You will encounter storms that once would have swept you away, and you will endure. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It is about learning that pain cannot stop you. It is not about avoiding setbacks. It is about realizing that setbacks are stepping stones to strength. So every time life pushes you back, every time you stumble, every time you face disappointment, remind yourself that this is not the end. This is the planting. The soil may feel heavy, the darkness overwhelming, but seeds only grow when they are buried. And in time, you will rise stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. Every setback plants the seed of resilience. That seed may not sprout immediately, but if you continue to rise, continue to hope, continue to press forward, it will grow. And one day, you will look back and realize that the very moments you thought would break you were the moments that built you. You will see that every setback was not a barrier, but a beginning. Success without failure is fragile and untested. It may shine brightly for a moment, but without the weight of struggle to anchor it, it drifts easily with the winds of challenge. True success is not built on ease or unbroken victories. It is carved out of difficulty, sharpened by mistakes, and strengthened by obstacles overcome. When success comes too easily, it can vanish just as quickly because it has never been tested, never been tempered, never been forced to endure the storms that prove its worth. Failure, as painful as it may feel, is the foundation that makes success strong. Each fall teaches you how to stand taller. Each mistake shows you how to move more wisely. Each setback prepares you to face the next challenge with steadier hands and a braver heart. Without these trials, success is hollow. It may look impressive on the outside, but on the inside it is weak. It has not been through the refining fire, and so it crumbles under the first sign of real difficulty. Think of a bridge built without ever being tested. On the day it faces its first storm, it collapses, not because it looked weak, but because it was never forced to prove its strength. In the same way, when success arrives without failure, it cannot carry the weight of life's inevitable storms. The first rejection, the first criticism, the first disappointment can shatter it. But when success has been built on the back of failures, it stands strong because it has already endured the testing. It is no longer fragile, but proven. There is a deep wisdom that comes only from falling short. Success on its own may inflate pride, making one believe that everything will always work in their favor. But failure humbles. It teaches patience, sharpens focus, and builds resilience. When success finally comes after failure, it carries within it gratitude and strength because you know what it took to reach it. You know the nights of doubt, the pain of rejection, the weight of discouragement. And so you hold that success with both humility and courage, ready to defend it, ready to sustain it. Consider the student who passes every exam with ease, but never truly studies. The grades may look impressive, but the knowledge is shallow. When faced with a challenge that requires true understanding, that success quickly crumbles. Contrast that with the student who struggles, who fails, who stumbles again and again, but who learns through each mistake. When success finally comes, it is real, lasting, unshakable, because it was earned through trial and perseverance. The same is true in every area of life. The athlete who never loses a game never learns the art of recovery, never develops the stamina to endure hardship. But the athlete who has tasted defeat learns to rise again, learns to fight harder, learns to push beyond limits. When victory finally comes, it is not fragile. It is fortified by every loss that came before it. The entrepreneur who succeeds on the first attempt may enjoy quick rewards, but when challenges arise, the lack of resilience is exposed. On the other hand, the one who failed repeatedly has already learned adaptation, already learned endurance, already built the inner strength to keep moving forward no matter the storm. Failure ensures that when you finally succeed, your victory is not only visible but durable. It will not collapse under criticism. It will not disappear under rejection. It will not shatter under the pressure of expectation. Instead, it will stand tall, grounded in the wisdom of every fall, carrying the strength of every setback. That is why success without failure is fragile. It has not been tested, and anything untested cannot be trusted to last. There is also a beauty in the scars that failure leaves behind. They remind you of what you endured, of the strength you discovered, of the courage you built along the way. A life without scars may look perfect from the outside, but it is often brittle, easily broken because it has never been stretched, never been pressed, never been proven. A life marked by failure carries resilience, carries depth, carries authenticity. That kind of success is not shallow. It is deeply rooted, able to weather storms, able to inspire others, able to stand the test of time. So if you find yourself failing, do not despair. See it for what it truly is, a necessary step in building lasting success. Each failure is preparing you, equipping you, making you stronger than you were before. The easy path may seem appealing, but it does not produce resilience. Only the tested, only the tried, only the ones who have endured the fire can stand firmly when the winds rise. Success without failure may sparkle quickly, but it cannot endure. Success forged through failure shines with a different light, a light that does not fade, a light that grows brighter with time. When you finally hold that kind of success in your hands, you will know it cannot be taken from you easily, because it was built not on chance, not on luck, but on perseverance, resilience, and courage. Mistakes are proof that you dared to try. They show that you stepped forward when others stood still, that you had the courage to risk imperfection for the possibility of growth. To make a mistake is not to be weak, It is to be brave enough to attempt something new, to test your limits, and to stretch beyond the safety of certainty. The absence of mistakes may look like perfection, but more often it is the evidence of a life lived too cautiously, a life that never reached beyond the boundaries of the familiar. Every mistake carries within it a story of courage. It is easy to criticize from the sidelines, to judge from the safety of inaction, but it takes boldness to enter the arena, knowing that failure is a possibility. When you make mistakes, it is proof that you had the strength to begin, that you chose effort over apathy, that you believed your dream was worth the risk. Those mistakes, though painful, are marks of progress. They are signs that you are moving, learning, and evolving. Think of the child learning to write. The letters are crooked, uneven, sometimes unrecognizable. Yet each mistake is evidence that the child is trying, that the hand is learning control, that the mind is learning expression. With time, those awkward marks become words, and those words become stories. Without the mistakes, the learning would never take root. In the same way, our mistakes are not proof of failure. They are stepping stones toward mastery. Mistakes are often misunderstood because we live in a world that praises polished success and hides the messy process behind it. We see the finished painting, not the discarded sketches. We hear the perfect performance, not the wrong notes played in rehearsal. We admire the breakthrough idea, not the countless failed attempts that led to it. But the truth is, behind every great achievement lies a trail of mistakes. They are not obstacles to greatness. They are the path to it. There is a kind of wisdom that mistakes offer us, one that success alone cannot provide. When we stumble, we are forced to reflect. We ask what went wrong, what needs to change, how we can improve. That reflection deepens our understanding, sharpens our skills, and humbles our pride. Success may flatter us into thinking we already know enough, but mistakes remind us that growth is ongoing, that there is always more to learn, always another level to reach. To make a mistake is to admit that you are human, that you are unfinished, that you are still in the process of becoming. And that is not something to hide, it is something to embrace. The greatest strength you can carry is not the illusion of flawlessness, but the courage to try again after imperfection. Those who fear mistakes often never begin. They remain trapped in hesitation, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect assurance of success. But perfection never arrives, and so their lives remain untouched by the richness that only risk can bring. Mistakes also teach resilience. Each time you falter, you discover that the world does not end, that you are stronger than the shame of failure, that you can stand again with renewed determination. With every mistake, you grow less afraid of falling because you have proven to yourself that you can rise. That resilience becomes the foundation of confidence, not the false confidence of never failing, but the true confidence of knowing that failure cannot defeat you. Imagine the artist whose brush slips, leaving a line where none was intended. At first, it seems like a mistake. But sometimes, that misplaced stroke becomes the very element that gives the painting its soul. Life is much the same. What feels like error today may later reveal itself as the turning point, the moment that shifted your path towards something greater than you had planned. Mistakes often carry hidden gifts, if only we are patient enough to look for them. It is important to remember that mistakes are not your identity. They do not define who you are, but they do shape who you are becoming. They are lessons, not labels. They are teachers, not chains. The only true mistake is the one you refuse to learn from, the one you allow to convince you never to try again. As long as you rise, as long as you keep daring, every mistake becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. So do not despise your mistakes. Let them remind you that you are alive, that you are in motion, that you are reaching beyond what is safe and familiar. Let them become proof that you dared to dream, that you dared to act, that you dared to believe in something more. A life without mistakes may seem tidy, but it is often empty. A life marked with mistakes, however, is full of color, full of lessons, full of growth. Mistakes are proof that you dared to try. They are the fingerprints of effort, the evidence of courage, the marks of a soul refusing to settle for mediocrity. Carry them with humility, learn from them with gratitude, and rise from them with renewed strength. For in the end, it is not the absence of mistakes that will define your journey, but the presence of courage in spite of them. Growth comes from embracing lessons, not avoiding falls. Life does not shape us most in the moments when everything runs smoothly, but in the moments when we stumble, falter, and must choose whether to rise again. Too often we believe that strength lies in avoiding mistakes, in steering clear of every fall, in protecting ourselves from failure at all costs. But the truth is, growth does not bloom in comfort. It blooms in difficulty, in the soil of setbacks, in the storms that bend us but do not break us. Every fall carries within it a lesson. When we stumble, the ground is not there to shame us. It is there to teach us. It teaches humility, reminding us that we are still learning. It teaches resilience, showing us that we are stronger than we believed. It teaches wisdom, pointing us toward a better way forward. To avoid falling is to avoid these lessons, to remain untested, to remain unshaped. But to embrace the lessons found in our failures is to welcome the very experiences that make us grow. Think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. The falls are inevitable. Knees will scrape, balance will fail, fear will creep in. But every fall teaches something. How to steady the handlebars, how to pedal with rhythm, how to trust the body's sense of balance. If the child refused to fall, they would never learn to ride. In the same way, our own lives are a series of rides and falls, and only by embracing those falls can we grow into new strength and new skill. Avoiding falls may seem safe, but safety often keeps us small. Growth demands risk. It demands stepping into the unknown, where falling is possible, even likely. Yet in every fall lies a hidden invitation to rise higher than before. When you embrace the lesson, you realize the fall was not your enemy. It was your teacher. It was the very thing that prepared you for the greater path ahead. There is a quiet power in people who have embraced their falls. They carry a depth that those untouched by failure cannot understand. They have faced disappointment and still chosen to hope. They have been knocked down and still chosen to rise. Their strength is not loud or boastful, but steady and unshakable because it has been tested. They did not avoid the fall. They embraced its lessons. And in doing so, they grew. Growth is not about perfection. It is about transformation. Each time you fall and rise, you are not the same person who first stumbled. You carry with you greater wisdom, deeper resilience, and a clearer vision. The fall may hurt, but the lesson strengthens. And that strength is what prepares you for the challenges still to come. Think of the seed buried in the soil. In order to grow, it must break apart. It must push through the darkness. It must fight its way upward. If it avoided the struggle, if it resisted the breaking, it would never become the tree it was meant to be. Our lives are much the same. The falls we endure may feel like breaking, but they are often the very beginning of our becoming. When we embrace lessons, even painful ones, we honor the process of growth. We stop asking, "Why did I fall?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That shift transforms our perspective. Suddenly, failures are no longer roadblocks but stepping stones. Setbacks are no longer defeats but teachers. And in time, we see that every fall carried within it the strength we needed to grow into our true selves. Avoiding falls, on the other hand, leads to stagnation. It may feel safe, but safety often robs us of depth. A life without struggle is a life without growth. To hide from failure is to hide from the very experiences that shape us into resilient, wise, and courageous people. The safest path may keep you from falling, but it also keeps you from flying. There will always be fear in the possibility of falling. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to step forward in spite of it. When you fall, you prove that you dared to move, dared to try, dared to hope. And when you rise, you prove that no fall can keep you from growing. Embrace the lesson, and the fall becomes not a failure, but a foundation. Growth comes from embracing lessons, not avoiding falls. Every scrape, every scar, every stumble carries wisdom that comfort cannot provide. Let your falls be your teachers. Let them deepen your resilience, sharpen your vision, and strengthen your soul. And when you look back, You will see that the very moments you thought were breaking you were the ones that were building you. The road to success is paved with attempts that did not work yet. Every step forward, every effort made, every plan that fell short becomes part of the path that eventually leads you to where you are meant to be. Too often, we see failure as a dead end, when in reality it is only a bend in the road, a redirection, a necessary part of the journey. Success is rarely the product of a single attempt. It is the result of persistence, of daring again and again, even when the outcome is uncertain. Each attempt that does not work is not wasted. It teaches you something you did not know before. It shows you what does not fit, what must be changed, what must be strengthened. These lessons build on one another, layering wisdom upon resilience until the moment arrives when all those small, imperfect efforts come together to create a breakthrough.